So through my many hours in this game, I've noticed a few tips, tricks, and just some common facts that I don't see talked about too much. I'm sure you might have heard some of these before, but a few of these I think are pretty rare. Let me know in the comments below if you actually knew all of these things. I'd be pretty impressed. I'm not going to talk about some of the more common things like, Ribby and Croaks is based after Ken and Ryu and stuff like that, but more of the interesting things I've found while playing the game. Number 1, I'll probably be the first person to tell you that Lobber is not a great weapon for many bosses, especially bosses that are kind of huge and above you. Any boss that requires you to jump to even hit with the Lobber makes life a major pain. However, I found a little trick that maximizes damage here if you wanted to use the Lobber to fight these kinds of bosses. What you need to do is to go directly underneath the boss, stop shooting, then jump. Before you reach the top of the jump, hold down shoot after you've left the ground. What that basically does is that it allows you to hit the enemy twice with the Lobber for every jump you do. If you're just holding down the shoot button and jumping randomly, you'll usually only hit the boss with 1 Lobber projectile per jump. But if you do it this way, it guarantees 2 projectiles are hitting. Now that doesn't sound like very much, but when you're doing something stupid like, the Saltbaker no damage expert run with only the Lobber, doing this trick means you're doubling the damage most of the time. Super useful. This works for Devil, it works for Saltbaker, it works for the 3rd phase of Glumstone, and probably a bunch of other bosses too, like, 2nd phase Beppy. Number 2, you can technically triple jump with Miss Chalice and Crack Shot if you use the EX shot and then parry off of it. So what you can do is you can jump, double jump, EX Crack Shot, dash into the EX Crack Shot to parry it, and that refreshes your double jump. You can double jump again and dash again. Unfortunately, until you touch the ground, you can't do another EX, but you can do some ridiculous tricks with this. For example, you can do dumb stuff like jump over Cagney's Vine attack, or hold airtime in between Grim Matchstick's clouds, or if you wanted to stay on one platform when you're fighting a boss. All of this is very useful. For the main game, you probably don't need to do this, but it feels very cool when you pull this off. It's very stylish. If you don't like using Crack Shot, any EX shot is useful for keeping yourself in the air. If you're doing the Devil and you find yourself unable to dodge this Goat Clap attack, just a jump and an EX will usually do it. You can also dodge if you don't have the EX, but I find the EX to be the best way of doing it, and you also do a little bit of damage. Number 3. Speaking of EXs, Miss Chalice's ridiculous double jump allows you to get some insane damage with the spreadshot EX for bosses like the Beppy 2nd phase and the Devil and Saltbaker, which would not be possible on Cuphead and Mugman unless you parried something first. As you can see, I can actually blitz through the Beppy 2nd phase with only 3 or 4 spreadshot EXs. It's really powerful. Number 4, straight from the Cuphead wiki. When you're shooting an enemy, you charge up 1 card of super every 160 damage. Each pea shooter shot does around 4 damage, and it does around 30 damage a second, so if you're using the pea shooter, that would be a bit over 5 seconds per card. If you have the coffee equipped, that means you get 1 card every 25 seconds. The Divine Charm actually gives you the cards a bit faster, with 1 card every 20 seconds. Number 5, you can smoke bomb in the plane. I am shocked how many times people have asked me this. It doesn't seem like you can do anything, but when you press the smoke bomb button, your character will do a little poof. You have a split second of invincibility, which is very useful for levels with a lot of bullets. If you're having trouble with Dr. Call, or maybe Esther Winchester's 2nd phase, even the 3rd phase, the smoke bomb can be very useful to you. This definitely isn't as useful as smoke bomb in a regular level, but it'll absolutely save you in a pinch. A little side note here, auto parrying in a plane also increases the duration of your parry, though I find this much less useful than using the smoke bomb or the coffee. Since we're talking about smoke bomb, you can smoke bomb underneath these pillars in Rugged Ridge, making this first area way easier than before. In running guns as well, Miss Chalice makes it trivial to just jump over almost every mini-boss in the game, which makes pacifist rank so much easier. If you're looking for tips for perilous peers, sorry, I don't really have any tips. That level is just suffering. Good luck, be patient. Don't try to outrun the lobster, you're not going to win. Number 8, this is pretty common, but you can duck under a lot of projectiles in the game. For example, Cagney's Boomerang Sycamore Seed, Leviathan's Ship Laser, Goopy's Headbutt and Punch Attack, the flies in Moonshine Mob, as long as you're on the bridge area. If you're on like the sides, because it's slightly slanted, the flies will actually bump into you. The serpent or dragon attack from the devil, depending on where you're standing. Some of the limes from Saltbaker's first phase, it depends on how high they are off the ground. Special mention to the Carnival Machine in Funfair Fever, where you can just roll underneath and sneak past. Number 9. If you go back to the main game after you get the DLC as Miss Chalice, there are a few interesting interactions. Number 1, when you're fighting Cala Maria and you get turned to stone, you get turned into a gold version of yourself. They didn't need to do that, but that was cute. Obviously, everyone knows this, I think. If you take the Devil's Deal, there's a special endgame screen where she's also there in evil. How is she there? How can all three of them exist at the same time? I don't know. This is a children's video game. I wouldn't put too much thought into it. Number 3, speaking of the devil, when she's fighting the devil, she will have her terrified expression that she has when she's fighting Saltbaker, but you'll also see a unique animation, I believe, from Cuphead, where he's being terrified. When you're doing Saltbaker, Cuphead doesn't do that animation because Cuphead is usually the one inside the jar. So I think this only happens during this fight, but if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below. You can also, refight the mausoleums, but you can't actually bring Miss Chalice back in. You can refight the mausoleums by holding down L and R and pressing A in front of the mausoleums. That's the same way you do the Secret Angel and Devil fight again. But I don't think anything actually happened. You just go in as Cuphead, so whatever. Number 10, when you're fighting Ribby and Croaks in the first phase, you can actually damage both characters at once. You can't really see this using most weapons, but if you use the Roundabout EX, you can definitely see it happen. Usually the Roundabout just goes inside them and then doesn't come back out because of how many hits it's doing. So this is a great way to speed through this phase. I'm not 100% sure if this trick works with Converge, because Converge should be hitting both of them, but I'm not familiar enough with the Converge damage, and I don't actually have that health bar mod, so I can't really tell. But if you know if Converge does double damage, let me know in the comments below. Number 11. I don't know if this is an intentional glitch, but if you don't shoot them, the little birds in Wally Warbles all die a bit off screen. Like, they don't just disappear, they actually die. You can hear their death sound, and you can see a little bit of the animation. Listen. I don't know why they did this instead of just making them vanish or just move them a bit further away. I've noticed this way back, even before the DLC came out, so that's really random and interesting. Number 12, everyone probably knows this except for me, but you can dodge Cala Maria's eye beams by turning into your mini plane and dodging up here. I don't think you can actually hurt her because she's not flashing when I hit her with the bombs, but it's still a decent way of avoiding that stupid petrification laser. This might seem super obvious, but I honestly had no idea, and I've been playing Cuphead for 4 years. I only realized when I started doing challenge runs, so it goes to show that even if you have hundreds and hundreds of hours in Cuphead, you can still learn something new. Another very useless thing about Cala Maria is that if you kill the pink pufferfish before you parry it, you can actually parry its falling corpse. It's kind of morbid, but I guess it's kind of useful if you accidentally shoot the fish down and you're really trying to get that parry and you happen to be literally right up against it. It's actually quite hard to do, but yeah, when the body is falling, it still counts as a projectile. Number 14, you can actually skip Rumor Honeybottom's entire final phase if you do enough damage to her during the phase transition. It's very, very hard though. So what I did was I basically waited till I'm pretty sure she's about to change, and then I started doing tons of damage to her, with supers and everything, during phase 2, because she still has to go through the entire phase transformation and all that damage is carrying over. So if you do it right and you really, really don't want to fight her last phase, you can absolutely just skip it. Even an expert, you can get your S rank that way. Number 15. When fighting Glumstone, the maximum number of gnomes that can be out at one time is 4. I don't know why you would want to have 4 out at the same time, but if you wanted to do a challenge run, many people have suggested beating Glumstone phase 1 without killing any gnomes with the hi-hat. It's very tough. It's very annoying having 4 gnomes at once, but at least they don't just keep infinitely spawning. Also, I always thought they were shooting like weird energy balls, but they're shooting gold nuggets, right? If you look at the intro, they are mining gold and they're actually shining. So they're actually shooting gold nuggets at you, which I think is a little cool. Number 16, similarly, in the Anteater phase of Moonshine Mob, the maximum number of bug balls during this phase is 3, although one of them will quickly leave the screen, leaving you with 2. I found this out because I was trying to get the hi-hat achievement on Moonshine Mob, which is very hard, if not impossible, because I think it counts the bombs that blow up by themselves if you just leave them alone for too long. Either way, it gets quite difficult when there's 2 to 3 bug balls around, so I wouldn't recommend it. Number 17. When you see Mortimer becoming a giant fridge, you can actually kill the popsicles that fly out of the freezer if you're fast enough. This is pretty difficult to do and rarely worth it normally, unless you decide to use one of your supers to wipe them out. This allows you to minimize the number of popsicles that will attack you from behind during the rest of this phase. Speaking of Mortimer, number 18, I always thought the teeth were invincible during the first phase until they pulled themselves out of the ground, but shooting them actually makes them come out a bit faster. I only learned that recently from someone in chat, so whoever it was that told me that tip, thank you very much. I'm sorry I don't remember your name. And that's it. There's probably way more out there, but these are the first 18 things that came to mind. What do you think? Did you know all these already? I thought they were pretty unique, but who knows? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching this video. I will see you all next time.